What's going on, everybody? It is, what is it, Monday? It's a Monday night, Monday, November 6th. And we are live here. So I want to take everybody's questions. I was just watching a little Monday Night Football, and then I'm like, you know what? Why don't we talk some dirt bikes and stuff? So I haven't done one of these live Q&As at night for a hot minute. So I figured, why not? So that's what we're doing tonight. I do these a lot in the daytime and just wanted to kind of see what it's like at night. So as you come on, just let me know where you're coming from, and then we'll start just chucking away at questions. The earlier people get in on these, usually the easier or faster I get to the questions. So just as we're coming on here, just kind of a couple housekeeping items. We have the sweepstakes coming up starting on Black Friday. There'll be two more bikes that we're giving away. There's the 2024, they're both 24 KTM 300s. One's the XCW hard enduro version, and the other is just the KTM 300 XC, the standard version. And so I'm looking forward to that. I went to shoot some shots of the bikes today, and I got thwarted because both of the places that I went to go are like closed. So I went to a couple places, and it's like, oh my gosh. But that's what it is. Like, the mountains are closing up here. It is November. Sadly, we are in November. So anyway, as you come in, just let me know, like I said, where you're coming from, and let's get to those questions that you've got. And that would be fantastic. We got Marty in here. Let's see, as we come on with some more people. One of these days, I might actually put these things out in advance and schedule them out in advance so that people know that we're doing it. And just then you can kind of prep with some questions. Interesting thing, I was going today. One of my sons called me, and we've got a 2019 Honda CRF 125F. And I don't know what happened, but the boys were right. It's actually mostly for my daughter. The boys were riding it, and one of the master link came apart on the chain, and the chain came right off the bike. So ordered a new chain today for that bike. And actually I ordered the chain and the master link because I'm like, you know what? We might be able to get by with just putting a new master link on. But the chain has been on the bike for a little while. So I'm like, we might want a new chain as well. So I think something has happened here with this feed because we are stuck at like 8 seconds. So I'm wondering if something is messed up with this feed because I don't think I'm getting a whole lot here. It looks like it's frozen. So we'll just see. I mean, it looks like it's lagging kind of behind because I've been on for quite a while and it's not showing much. We got Bobby in from Ontario, Canada. So how's it going, Bobby? But yeah, it is lagging behind. Like, my countdown timer is lagging way behind. But we got Brad Cheeseby on. We've got Alan from Georgia. We've got Michael Lechner Jr. saying what's up. We got Gen Z Trucking. Good evening. Brian Bennett. Brian says, hey, thoughts on the 23 Beta 300RR? I haven't had a Beta for a hot minute, so I don't have a ton of thoughts on them. It is a bike that I'm interested in getting real soon. But yeah, it's a little bit laggy here. So I know I've been going for a couple minutes and it's only saying I've been on for a minute. So anyway, hopefully your comments come in. I don't know if it's on YouTube side or if it's on my side. We got Justin Carl checking in here. Justin Carl Films. We got Anthony Strickland. Hello from Indiana. Andrew Beckford says, you're good. Coming through loud and clear from New Hampshire. Chris is from Eagle Mountain. And we got, let's see. Yeah, H5 Motorsports. It's Chris from Eagle Mountain. That's just a city here close by. Dirt Bikes Fun is from Alabama. He's checking in. Bill Schaefer has a Husky FE350S. No question there. Vancouver Island is checking in from Vancouver up in Canada. Love to have you guys in here. Let's see. We've got Michael Lechner Jr. says, holy crap, you're the first person to ever say my last name right. Uh-oh, maybe I didn't do it again. Or maybe Lechner Jr. Yeah, Lechner. So yeah, you said, holy crap, you're the first person to say my name right without me telling them. I mean, it's just how it's spelled. So I'm glad I nailed it. Let's see. RC says, hello. Talk 2024 TE 150. Give any, maybe. I mean, What do you want me to say about it? Like the 150s are great bikes. The 2024, that'll be a fuel injected bike. It'll have the linkage because it's Husky. The only downside and the reason why I usually well, there's a couple reasons why I usually don't do Huskies over the KTM's. I don't like white plastic, and then most of the Huskies come with a Brembo brake and clutch. I mean, a brake tech. Sorry, the Huskies come with brake tech clutches and brakes. I don't like the brake tech brake as much as the Brembo brakes. Every once in a while, you get a Husky that comes with Brembo, but most of the time they don't. In talking with KTM, it's a sourcing thing. Like Brembo can't guarantee them enough brakes to put on all three of their models, like all three of their brands between KTM, Husky, and Gas Gas. And so KTM gets the Brembos, and then Gas, and Husky get the brake techs, typically speaking. Other than that, it's a great bike. It'll be fuel injected. It'll be awesome. Johnny Nelson says, "Hey," and that doesn't mean it's a bad bike. It's just I'm paying more on the Husky. I'm paying more money than the KTM, and I'm getting brakes I don't like as good. And it's a white plastic, which I don't like as much. And they're less available in my area. So all of those things, like if the Husky was less money, and I liked the plastic better, I wouldn't be as particular about the brakes. But because I don't like the brakes and it's more money and it's white plastic, I typically stay away from the Huskies. Um, Gemikar says I rode the Cove 450. What are your thoughts? I don't know what you KOVE 450. I don't know what you mean. That just made me think of something though. Hey, so I got an email here for you guys. I got this on let's see, today. Was it today? Yeah. At 3 a.m. this morning, I get this email. This is from Stark Varg or Stark Future. And it says, "Dear Kyle, we have good news. We are ready to produce your Stark Varg order." And they showed the order number. "And you'll be among the first in the world to experience the future of motocross. Please find a playlist here for the few recent test rides." So they give some videos, which I didn't click on. "Now, to speed up the process of delivery in your area, we'll deliver your bike through the authorized Start Future dealer." It's going through a Honda dealer here, actually, which is interesting. I didn't select the dealer, but they've selected it for me based on my geographical area. I say, or I'm guessing. It says the dealer has your contact dealers already. The dealer has your contact details already and will contact you shortly to arrange your delivery payment and additional finance if you have any further questions you might have. Please read this PDF that answers the most common questions, which I didn't look at. If you have any questions or need assistance from Start Future, feel directly to reach out to, and they give like sales at startfuture.com. So that's interesting because it's the first time I've seen any positive information on when that might happen. I think one of the last times I did one of these Q&As, I logged into my Stark Future account or whatever, and it said that it wasn't going to be delivered until April 2022. And that's still 5-6 months away. So we'll see. I mean, it'd be cool to get that Stark Varg up in here. So let's see. Brad Sheesby says notification for the live came in late, but hearing you in real time now. And it's funny because the counter up here is just frozen. It's not really counting super accurately. Edgar Hernandez says hello from South Carolina. Do a review on a GPX 250. I don't plan on doing that. I mention that just about every time. I can't even do a review on anything that's made from China without the dirt bike industry coming down on me. So I'm not going to review a fully Chinese dirt bike. I'm just not going to do it. You guys are too, I say you guys, our industry is too effing critical of stuff that comes from China. And so I'm not going to do a GPX until it would take it would take wild horses at this point for me to do that, because I've taken so much criticism in the past for doing anything that was from China. But it always pisses me off when people do it, because your phone is made in China, your computer is made in China, your medicine is made in China, all this stuff. Like everybody has all this Chinese made stuff and they just want to pretend that they don't have it. But if I review a Chinese product or something like that, people get super pissed. And I've taken enough heat for that Chinese stuff from the dirt bike industry. I'm just like, pound sand, people. So I'm not going to do a GPX motorcycle. Shadowlock says, any thoughts of selling raffle tickets for your next giveaway? This might help on shipping costs. You can't do that. It's illegal. That's gambling. So I can't do that. I pay a lot of money for this, and I have to give you a product. So I have to give you an actual product of some kind. It could be a digital product too. And I tried doing that before, and I got freaking sued by the Forest Service, or almost sued. I got threatened to be sued by the Forest Service. It ain't easy. This ain't easy. So yeah. Justin Carl Film says, I finally got to ride a 23 KTM XC, and oh my gosh, you're right. The KLX 300R does not compare. Yeah. So when we start comparing like a KLX 300R or a Honda CRF 230F or 250F or whatever versus like any of these other race bred bikes, they're not even in the same genre. And so when people say, hey, do a KLX 300R, just look at the brakes, look at the components, look at the suspension, look at the motor. It is completely different than any of these other motorcycles I have ever purchased. It's like the Honda that I have, the Honda that I started talking about, the CRF 125F. It's a trail bike made to go down a gravel road. It's not made to do anything aggressive. And all the bikes that I've reviewed, or all the bikes that I've really ridden on this channel, they're all aggressive race bred bikes. Now, I'm not racing them, but they are racing bikes. Even the enduro bikes, like the 300, like KTM 300 XCWs or 250 XCWs, they're still a racing bike, whereas the KLX 300, it's not a racing bike. It's a trail bike all the way. And it's totally different genres. Brian Bennett says, needing a little more low-end grunt on my 23 300 XCW, how much would dropping a tooth in the front change things? Dropping a tooth in the front would make it, yeah. So it would gear it down. Question though, Brian, why do you need more grunt on a 300 XCW? I just want to, yes, if you gear the bike down, it will gear it down, and that kind of gives it, quote, more grunt, but you're just dropping the gearing, lowering the gearing. But my question is, how much grunt do you need? And Brian, please don't take this wrong. I don't know you, but here's what the more I have ridden, the more it has become clear to me that it's not the motorcycle, it's me. I don't need more power. And while I can't say for certain that you don't need more power, because I don't know you and I don't know the situation, I will say that 9 times out of 10 or 97 times out of 100, I believe these bikes have more power than we could ever use. And it's just about us learning how to control that power. I've watched professional riders do things on bikes that I didn't think was possible, and on bikes that had less power than the bikes that I'm riding, or former professional riders do things on bikes that I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And so I'm just planting that seed in there. Yeah, if you gear the bike down, you'll get more grunt. You could get more grunt by putting a high compression head on your motorcycle, on your dirt bike. But the more I do this, the longer I've done it, the more I become more and more convinced that less is more, and we don't need more power. We need more skill and more technique. So I feel it's we're better off, I feel, by putting fresh tires on our bikes, keeping fresh tires on our bikes, and then also enrolling in some training. And I think that's a better way to go than trying to get more power out of our motorcycles. Miller Small Engine Repair says, good evening from Madison, Indiana. Vancouver Island Single Track says it's 24 TE brake tech. Rear brake is not great. Front is good. See, I would say the exact opposite. I can't really tell on the rear brakes. I don't have enough dexterity with my foot and ankle and everything to be able to tell. I don't have any problem with the rear brake on them. It's the front brakes that I can tell the difference. And I don't like the front brake on the brake tech as much. It's not bad, but I mean, I'm paying more for a motorcycle that has brakes I like less. That isn't a good recipe for me to want to do it. Coops Off-Road Performance says, "Did you see the new Fantic EX300 fuel injected electric start Yamaha Fantic?" No, I haven't seen it. CD556, have you ever tried snow biking? Yes, I have several times, and I haven't loved it. I don't love the winter sports. And it see like snow biking to me, I'd rather just actually ride an actual snowmobile, like a sled, like a mountain sled. I have more fun doing mountain sleds than I do snow biking. Snow biking to me is just kind of like it feels like it just kind of feels like riding a four-wheeler a little bit. You're sitting down so much on them. I just don't love snow biking. AJ Dirt Bikes 18 says your channel is so helpful. Thank you. Logan Denhart says I ride East Coast enduro and some hard enduro. I'm a good 15-year-old rider and I've been looking at the 22 or newer beta 200RR or WR 250F. What are your thoughts? I say if you're doing any hard enduro, do not get the WR 250F. It's a four-stroke. Get the Beta 200RR for sure. This is the easiest question in the history of questions. If you're going to be doing enduro riding and any of it is quote hard enduro, get the two-stroke. Do not get the four-stroke. I can't emphasize that enough. That's an easy question. Get the Beta 200RR. They're awesome. The Beta 200RRs are so amazing. Thomas Della Sota says, "Who do you think is going to win the FIM ISDE 2023?" I don't know. I don't follow that closely, to be honest. Carter Boys on Dirt Bike says, "Hi there from Texas. Picked up a 2020 YZ 250 FX for my 14-year-old son. He moved up from a KLX 140R or KLX 140L to this and loves it. Suspension is so stiff for the woods. Great in the whoops. Does a revalve fix this? Yes. So I don't know how much your 14-year-old son weighs or how tall he is, but he might be too light for that bike in its stock form anyway. And they're set up to go super fast through the desert. They're not great in the woods. Everyone wants to rant and rave about the KYB front fork or whatever on that bike, but it's too stiff. It's freaking too stiff. I've never once had a KYB fork that wasn't too stiff ever in the history of doing this. At least for what I'm doing now. If you're doing moto, it'd be probably great. But if you're going to be riding woods, I do think it's too stiff. And yes, you'd want to go. You find a suspension tuner in your area. In Texas, I'm sure there's a bunch, and get some referrals or whatever, and then just go ahead and have them soften it up. So that's gonna be what you want to do. Let's see. Coop's off-road performance. I'm glad we're critical of China crap. Well, I'm just like, it's just funny. Like everyone is, what bothers me about it is the hypocrisy about it, because we, some of us as Americans want to sit here and moan and whine and complain and talk about like how like, and I'm a patriot too, and I want to buy stuff from the U.S. But when you start like zeroing in on like, don't buy this thing because it's made in China, but everybody's walking around with a freaking cell phone in their hand, a smartphone in their hand that was made in China, you know? And so like, if you're gonna go a hard line, then you can't have a cell phone. You know, if you're going to go hard line, you can't have a computer monitor. If you're going to go hard line, you can't have a TV, you know? So that's my point, is just like, if everyone is like going super crazy about Chinese stuff, then throw your ibuprofen away too. Like throw your medicine away, because almost all this stuff is made in China. So yeah, we want to support US, but if we're getting we're just like, we say a hard line and then we'll like pick a company, we'll pick a company and be like, I'm not buying them because they're like, they have factories in China. When you start doing that, you look like a big POS hypocrite, because you've got all this other stuff that you're supporting that is made in China. So I'm just like, let's try to support US businesses. Let's do that. I want to grow the US economy. I want to do that. I'm a patriot. I'm an American first. But when we start saying like, F this company because they're making this thing in China, it's like, whoa, slippery slope, bro, because you're buying a shiz ton of stuff that's made in China. So it just makes us look kind of hypocritical when we start getting getting like that. Let's see. Um, Miller's small engine repair. Can we discuss the future of Kawasaki? So that's an interesting question. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, I think we should discuss the future of Suzuki. I don't think they're doing anything. I don't even know. Like in this whole time that I've been doing this, Suzuki has not made like any updates to their bikes. So Kawasaki has at least made some updates. Algie says, good answer on the GPX. It is too polarizing. Yeah, it's very polarizing. Let's see. Michael Lechner Jr. says, I liked your chest protector review the other day. I would definitely watch more of gear, product, and component videos. Yeah, and I'm going to do that. So I think he's talking about, I did a review, like a kind of like a long-term review of these, the Tech Vest by, it's a Tech Vest. It's a chest protector riding vest that is really, really, it's super, super. Sorry, I'm watching. I've got DoorDash coming, and I'm just trying to see when they're going to be here. Once DoorDash gets here, I need to cut this down. But we still got a few minutes. But yeah, so the Tech Vest is an amazing. I have a Bushmaster, and then like it's an Off-Road Pro Light. They're these vests that cover your vital organs. They're freaking fantastic. I love it. I'm going to do another review on basically the best thing that I've ever spent money on in dirt bikes, which is the step ramp. I've done 2 videos on it in the last 4 years. So I filmed another video on it over the weekend. I'll probably like edit that tomorrow or the next day and put that out. Because like, dude, it is the best ramp you can buy, like stepramp.com. And if you use my promo code, it's just KYLE when you're checking out. Kyle, my first name. They don't discount them, but it does give me a kickback on it. And that freaking ramp, man, I've used it twice today. I mean, I use it all the time. It's crazy. Brigham Price. Have you heard of Kincaid Povich? He builds some really nice bikes. I have not. Sorry. Let's see. Johnny Nelson says, decided to get a used 2020 TE300 TPI instead of the new TBI because of your "Where's the Power" video. Yeah. They did soften the power up on the XCWs in 2024. However, the more I've ridden it, I'm like, well, I can see why they did it. We were already struggling. Like I've already struggled for traction on the XCWs anyway. And if it had the mapping of the XC, it would just be lighting the wheel up everywhere. So the TBI bikes I do believe that the TBI bikes, like in the XC line, I think they make more power than the TPI bikes did. So they've softened that up a bit on the XCWs and the TEs. And I think it's probably a good thing, to be honest. Helps us. Vancouver Island single track. Where have you settled on the gearing for your 24 300 XCW? So they come with a 45 tooth sprocket, and it's pretty good. I tried the 47 tooth sprocket on the one that I just gave away, and I gave it away to the guy in Phoenix. But I don't have like super strong opinions on it. I mean, I think this one is just one of those ones where it's a feel thing. If you are looking for a little bit more grunt, you can gear it down just a little bit. But I wasn't looking for more grunt. I just wanted to kind of try it. And I feel like, and I said it on my review of that little sprocket, I feel like it just kind of it doesn't do anything for me on first gear. In fact, it probably makes first gear a little bit less usable, but it made second gear and third gear a little bit better by gearing it down, going 2 teeth bigger on the rear sprocket. I don't know. I liked it, but I mean, it's not like a game changer. Brian Bennett says, I'm a bigger guy. We ride really gnarly mountain terrain in North Carolina. Seems like I abuse my clutch far too often. And I think that's why this must be in response to why he wanted more grunt. And yeah, so if you're riding really gnarly tight terrain in North Carolina, yeah, you could definitely gear it down a little bit. You were talking about going 1 tooth in the front. Just kind of keep in mind 1 tooth in the front of a change. Like one of the things people talk about a lot of times is 1 tooth of a change in the front is kind of like adding 3, sometimes even 4 teeth on the back. I usually hear 3. And so if you're ready to go, it's a pretty big jump. So if you change 1 tooth in the front, it's going to change the bike pretty drastically versus if you changed If you just changed your rear sprocket, it's a little bit more subtle. But maybe you do want to go with that big of a change by dropping one tooth in the front. It's easy to do. Um, Back on the old bikes, on the older generation bikes, this is back 2017 and older. Every time I changed the front sprocket, I had to do a countershaft seal. I haven't had that much of an issue with it now with the newer gen bikes, but you might want to just order a countershaft seal if you're going to replace that front sprocket. Um, just have it on hand just in case it starts to leak after you've done the change. Just something to think about. They're not expensive. We're talking just 5, 10, 15 bucks or something like that. But just something to think about. Let's see. T-Dub says, any technique tips for standing more without getting tired? I find myself sitting more than I probably should. I think it's mostly just a fitness thing. I think you should be doing squats. You can do body weight squats. Um, and I think that will help a lot. Like I did a lot of rowing earlier in my career, like rowing on a rowing machine, and I do think that helped. The last couple of years, I've been focusing on strength training, resistance training, and so I've gained like over 20 pounds. I'm 20 pounds heavier than I was a couple of years ago, and that helps. But the other thing is just doing it. Like there's no substitute. There's no substitute for just actually doing the work. So that would be the thing that I would say is just continuing to stand and continuing to time yourself and watch what you're doing and have more and more just more and more practice doing it. And I definitely think that helps. So yeah, but good question. Do a lot of squats. You can do body weight squats, but just getting your body physically ready and then doing more of the standing and force yourself to stand. Hinge at the hips so that you're not, hinge at the hips so you're using more of your legs, I would say. So get those arms out and kind of stick your butt back. I'm not great at doing that all the time because you have to kind of stand up to like um kind of rest your back or whatever. But the other thing too is how tall are you? If you're taller than like 6'1", 6'2", you might need bar risers. If you're 6 feet or under, I wouldn't suggest bar risers. One thing you can do sometimes is just roll your handlebars forward, like loosen the clamps and maybe roll your handlebars forward just slightly. It can open up the cockpit just enough. You could also look at moving your handlebars forward if you have the option to do that in the triple clamps. I typically do that, moving my handlebars forward a little bit. It just kind of opens up the cockpit a little bit more for me. I'm 6 feet tall, and that helps for me. Brian Bennett says, I run Midas TerraForce tires and I keep them replaced often. That's great. Eric Cordova says, Ride More shirt is awesome. Great quality and design. So I have 2 more shirts coming that are the same exact shirt. It is the best shirt I can possibly buy as far as like quality. It's not this shirt. You can't tell, but I have 2 more shirt designs coming new that we've never done before. And then I also have that Ride More shirt is going to come in blue. We call it Royal Frost. And it's the same, blend of shirt or whatever. So there will be 3 more shirts up for the December sweepstakes that have never been there before, and it's that same quality shirt. So thanks for that feedback, Eric. Okay, hello says the username is actually hello. I'm thinking about getting a Beta 200RR, but it is carbureted. Will riding carbureted enduro bike work as you are sometimes lugging around and sometimes in the power band? Yes, they work fantastically. For most of us have only, for all of it's only been a recent thing that we had fuel injected, and carbureted bikes work fantastic. In fact, here's the rub. The tricky part that they've been trying to do is like they've been trying to make a fuel injected bike run like a carbureted bike. The only problem, well, not the only, one of the problems with carburetors is you have to tune them based on your altitude. So if you're riding at sea level one time and 5,000 feet, the next time you're totally changing the jetting. And that can be frustrating on a carbureted bike. But if you're just, going up 1,000 or 2,000 feet, which is mostly people don't usually do more than that, they run really great, and you kind of tune it for like a midpoint of that. But yes, carbureted bikes are awesome. They have a ton of low end grunt. Generally speaking, they're they're better low end than most of the fuel injected bikes. Now that KTM has the TBI, the throttle body technology, they are more carburetor like than before. Um, the only some of the other challenges with the carbureted bikes is they dump gas out. They're not as efficient because they're leaking fuel out like through the overflow tubes and things like that. And then people were, often um, having like jetting issues and whatever. But if your elevation isn't varying a lot, then it's not a big deal. And if you really want to kind of take and make this carbureted bike really awesome, you can put either electron carburetor on it or a smart carb on it. And those carbs kind of self meter themselves. So once you tune it to get it running, it can run really good at most any altitude, So, but don't I would not overlook the Beta 200RR because it's carbureted. It's an amazing motorcycle. I love those bikes. They're absolutely killer, and the carburetor is not a problem at all. Okay. Shadowlock says that tech vest you just reviewed. Have you ever worn it under the jersey? No, I don't. I don't wear them under the jersey. I mean, you could, but you'd need a huge jersey. I don't have huge baggy jerseys, so my jerseys are tight enough that it wouldn't go under. But you could, you know. What was your okay? The Rock Pigs. What was your first bike? Well, it was 2009. Shoot, I'm so tired. Oh, I apologize. It was a 2009 YZ450F. It's horrible. I mean, is a horrible first bike. I spent years trying to a lot of my videos were kind of like around like don't make the same mistake I did. Don't buy a 450 motocross bike as your first bike. I've done I don't know how many hundreds of videos where that's one of the main themes. So don't do that. Don't do what I did. Don't get a 450 as your first motorcycle. Don't get a 450 for a long, 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 long time, if ever. Let's see. Justin Carl Film says the 23 KTM 250 XC was so impressive. The faster you go, the better the bike feels. It's amazing. I will say the KLX 300R is a great bike for the price, but yeah, enough said. Yes, those XCs, especially even the newer ones, the 23s and the 24s, the KTM XC bikes, they're just made to go fast, and the harder you push them, the better they are. You can't push like a KLX 300R. The harder you push that, the worse it feels. So, Coop's Off-Road Performance. How do I import the Fantic Yamaha XE300 without breaking the bank? I don't know. I don't know anything about importing them. I have zero information on that. Kevin Gorsk. Is it Gorchinski? Kevin Gorchinski says, why then would you pick the 250 XCW over the 300 XCW? Because the 250 is a more playful motor. The 250 motor revs out quicker. It rewards you for being a little bit higher in the RPM range. It's more playful. It's more snappy. And I love the 250 motors. If you made me pick between the two and I had to ride one motor all year long, I take the 250. Now, if I know I'm just going to be doing slower, more technical, nasty, slow type stuff, I take the 300. But if you're like, you're going to ride this bike all year long and I have desert stuff and mountain stuff, I take the 250 motor over the 300. It's more playful. And it feels just a teeny bit lighter. It still makes like the same amount of power, but the power comes higher in the RPM range. So the power on the 300 is lower down, whereas the power is a little bit higher on the 250. And I love the 250 motors. They're so cool. Coop's Off-Road Performance. But when you have an option of China or USA, well, then I take China. I mean, sorry, duh. If I have an option of China or USA, I take USA, which I do. Like I do that, but oftentimes we don't. And oftentimes we don't even know, So I hate to talk about the China thing, but I just get pissed off about the people who are really, really hardliners on it because I think they're hypocrites. I know they're hypocrites because they'll sit here and they'll get on their high horse and complain about a Chinese product while they have a freaking Chinese product in their hand that they spent $1,000 on and all their kids have them. So they spent $5,000 just on their phones and they're made in China. And then they want to sit here and complain that you bought like a $60 item in China. It's like, bro, you're being very hypocritical, and I just tune you out. Reese to the off-road occasion, or is Rise. It's RYS. So it's Rise to the occasion says, good evening. Thanks for all the videos and enjoy these Q&As. Anyways, have you rode a 350F and thought about reviewing one for the channel? If you do, what type of if you do, recommend them for what type of riding? I have had several 350s. Well, I've owned a couple 350s in the past. I haven't owned one for a while. They're good bikes. My problem with the 350 is I find that the 254 strokes are just more playful and snappy, and I really, really enjoy those. The 450 is big and heavy and lumbering, and it's cool if you're in the wide open, like sand dunes or something like that, or if you're doing hill climbs. The 450s are really cool for that. The 350 just feels like a watered down 450 to me. Every time I've ridden them, they don't feel as light and playful and peppy to me as the 250s do. And they don't feel, but then you're like, well, it should be the perfect thing because it'll have more grunt than the 250, but it won't be quite as lumbering as the 450. But they feel like watered down 450s to me. And so I kind of lose the magic, because some of these freaking 250s are magic. Like, I've ridden some KTM 254 strokes in the desert that I thought were magic. Definitely, I think the YZ250 FX is magic. When I've had those motors are so fun, and they make me giggle and smile. But then the 350s, it just feels like a heavy 250 and a watered down 450. So yeah. Let's see. Horsepower. Let's see. David Deming, have you ever considered keeping one of these newer bikes to test the long-term reliability? So I did that in 2019. We kept one for 100 and so hours, like 120 hours or something like that. And yeah, I mean, I haven't had any durability problems, or long-term reliability problems on any of these bikes. And I have buddies that keep them for hundreds of hours, and none of them have had any reliability issues either. I don't think reliability issues are a problem in our sport. I think maintenance is a problem. Every once in a while, something will go wrong. But for me, keeping a bike up to 200 hours just to see if something breaks isn't really that interesting, because guess what? Like, most likely nothing will break because I'm doing maintenance on it. Now, we did no maintenance on that. I don't even think we did a gear oil change. Maybe we were doing gear oil changes. But it's like, if you're doing maintenance on these things, they're going to last, you know? And so, and if you get one that does blow up, whether it's a Kawasaki, Honda, whatever it is, because it does happen. Like, I hear about it from time to time, but I think it's just kind of a fluke. I don't think there are widespread reliability issues with any of these motorcycles across any brand. I don't think it's true. Let's see. My food is outside sitting on the porch, so I got a notification here on my phone. So I'll just take another question or two. Let's see. I have a Sherco 300. Okay, here's an interesting. Mr. Rod's Life says, I have a Sherco 302 stroke. Thinking of going smart carb or electron. Do you have any advice on which one is better? So better is in the eye of the beholder. Let's just start with the electron. The electron is a little bit cheaper, but you have to take the carburetor apart to tune it, but you can make them run really, really good. Okay. The smart carb is more expensive, and that's the benefit there, is you don't have to take it apart to tune it. So you got to decide if you want to save a little bit of money and it takes you maybe a little bit longer to tune the electron, because each time you're making a change to it, you're tearing the top of the carburetor off. So you have to turn get in there, turn the carburetor to the side. And I can't remember how easy it is to do that on the Sherco. You have to turn the carburetor to the side, take the top of the carburetor off, and then pull out the metering rod and lengthen it or shorten it, and then put it all back in, and then go try that. The smart carb, you're just opening the throttle all the way and then going down there and pushing down on a knob and either shortening or lengthening the metering rod there and then letting go, and you can do it. So the smart carb is easier to tune in that way because you don't have to take the carburetor apart, but you're spending more money for it. So that's the downside. Okay. I'm going to cut you guys loose because I literally have food getting cold out here on my porch. But thank you so much for your support. Thanks for all the questions that come in. Sorry we don't get to, like, that's the benefit of coming in early. Your questions are more likely to get answered the earlier you come in here. If you have questions, though, you can always email me. It's kyle@dirtbikechannel.com, or there's a contact form over on my website. If you want to support what we're doing here, probably the best way to do it, especially in between sweepstakes, is just to use my links to Rocky Mountain ATV. If you're ordering product, tires, tools, gear, whatever, parts for your bike, levers, grips, anything, go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com, and there's a link that says Shop Rocky Mountain ATV. You click on that, it takes you to Rocky Mountain ATV, and then you just check out as normal. You log into your account. They have free shipping on orders over $75. You can't beat them on price, availability, and shipping. You just really can't. Rocky Mountain ATV is the best in our industry as far as like for just stocking parts and stocking gear. They don't have everything, and every once in a while there's a product that I want that they don't sell, you know, but if it's a product that, oil, anything that's common in the industry, they're going to have that. And I just do that through Rocky Mountain ATV. So go ahead and use my links to those guys. They're the best. And yeah, hit me up on email if you got other questions. And until next time, enjoy your Monday night and leave a single track. Thanks, everybody.